Well, it hasn't even been 24 hours since polls closed for New York City's mayoral Democratic primary election, and already candidate Andrew Yang has conceded. Initial reported results show Eric Adams with a formidable lead, followed by Maya Wiley and Catherine Garcia. However, due to the implementation of ranked choice voting for this election, official results could take weeks. So, Adam Brewster has been following this race for us and is here to discuss. So starting things off, we know it'll be a while until we see the official results come in, but unofficially, what are we seeing?
What we're seeing right now, Anne Marie, is Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams, a former New York Police Department captain, he's sitting at around 31%. He's followed by civil rights attorney Maya Wiley, who's around 22%, trailing her by just a couple of points. Former Sanitation Commissioner Catherine Garcia and Andrew Yang was down around 11-12%. Now, this is only votes that were cast during early voting in person and yesterday, and it is only the first choice. As you mentioned, there's ranked choice voting, so there will be a system where people were able to rank up to 5 candidates, and it appears no one is going to hit that 50% threshold, even with absentee ballots counted. We don't know anything about how absentee results have gone yet, and we won't for a while. We know that there were about 200,000 or so that were requested, and as of Monday night, there were about 87,000 that have been returned, but those can arrive. They were due yesterday or had to be postmarked yesterday, but they can arrive up until next Tuesday. So that's a big factor that's sort of sitting out there that we don't quite know yet. But in this ranked choice system, this is just the first choice out of 5. There will be candidates who are eliminated. Second and third choice votes will weigh in during those tabulations. So this is very early in this process, as you mentioned.
Okay, so can we get into that a little bit more about how things are tabulated? So we understand that voters go in to the voting booth and they put their first choice, their second, third, fourth choice in that order down to 5th. But then how are the votes actually tabulated? And you mentioned absentee ballots. What sort of impact could they have?
The tabulation itself is relatively simple. There is a software code that is able to do the algorithm of ranked choice voting. The New York City Board of Elections tested that, approved that back in May. So that is, the tabulation itself is, a bit more complex, the algorithm written to do the tabulation, but it can be done rather quickly. Now, in terms of how the absentee ballots play in, that's part of the reason why we're going to have to wait so long. As I mentioned, absentee ballots can arrive up until next Tuesday, June 29th. June 29th will also be the first time that the city runs a ranked choice tabulation on these early in-person votes and election day votes. So that we will kind of get a sense of how things shook out for people who voted in person, but that will not factor in any of the absentee votes. The following week, on July 6th, that's when we're expected to get the first ranked choice tabulation with the bulk of the absentee ballots. People have a few days after July 6th to fix, any issues they may have had with their ballots. If they had a defect with it, that they could fix, a process known as curing. So then it may be a final ranked choice tabulation the final week. So we'll kind of see how things shake out along the way, and a reminder that we will let you know when those final results are in, but don't expect them until possibly mid-July.
So Andrew Yang has already conceded, which I thought, was kind of surprising to me, considering what you just said, that it's going to take a while before we really know what the numbers look like. And I thought, according to kind of the latest polls, he wasn't sort of in the bottom, so there was still a possibility. Why did he concede?
Well, it's certainly interesting that he did so, considering there's this outstanding number of absentee ballots that we don't know how that will impact. If you just look at the votes that are in so far, though, Adams and Wiley and Garcia have a little over 70%. When you factor in Andrew Yang's portion of the vote, you're up above 80%. And during ranked choice, the lowest remaining candidate in each round gets eliminated. So Yang would have had to have been the second or third choice of basically everyone beneath him, more so than Maya Wiley, Catherine Garcia, or Eric Adams, in order to try to catch them and avoid not being the fourth person eliminated. And he sort of said last night, you know me, New York, I'm a math guy, right? I think everybody around the country remembers him for the math hats and his fans for the math hats. He said, I traffic in numbers, I deal with numbers, I can see the numbers. I know we're not going to win this race, and I want to be able to work with the next mayor. I want to wish the next mayor luck, whomever that may be. and so that we can get this city back together. So it was sort of he said, I'm a numbers guy. I looked at the numbers. They just don't add up. And, I want to be able to move forward and work with whomever this is as this process plays out.
So let's talk about the guy who is currently in the lead and who, frankly, has been leading in the polls for quite a bit, Eric Adams. He's kind of taken a law and order approach, but we've talked about this before, that over the year across the country, but certainly in New York, last summer we had demonstrations about defunding the police and reimagining safety, public safety, and, fast forward a year and crime is a serious concern. So I'm wondering how his position on crime and policing, how that's been landing in New York City.
Well, Adam says that he is the only candidate who has a plan to deal with crime in the right now. If you've ever heard him talk, he likes to say crime is about prevention and intervention. Prevention, dealing with the things down the road, addressing the root causes, getting crime down in the future. He has certain ideas for that, getting people more jobs. Dyslexia screening is something he speaks about often. But then he says in the intervention, we also need things right now. And Adams was a member of the police department for more than 20 years here in New York City. But he is somebody who spoke out against the stop and frisk policies that were so controversial in New York. And the judge who ruled that New York was using those policies unconstitutionally actually cited Adams' testimony as the reason or a big part of the reasoning that it was found unconstitutional. So Adam says, I'm somebody who wants to reform. I don't want this to be the same old place. I want this to be a differently operating police department. So it is not as though he is pitching going back to the way that things were here in New York. But he has said, I am somebody who understands how to do this, and I'm someone who understands how to do this right now and to get the violence down right now, as well as to keep it down moving forward. And crime and public safety were top issues for people. But there's also a whole other host, of issues that people were worried about, that Adams would speak about on the trail. That is certainly something that resonated with him. And he was talking about the crime issue and made that a central focus of his campaign, perhaps a bit earlier than other candidates did, and sort of saw that as, crime was going up, this was going to be a big issue. And he wanted to make it clear where he stood and how he thought that he could fix the problem.
All right, Adam, thank you so much.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.